And welcome back to the Sooner Surge. And today, breaking news: OU to the SEC 2024. The report: Ross Dellinger. Finally, he was one of the first last week on the thing that there's 5 parties. How are we going to make something like this happen? He was one of the few that didn't say necessarily that the talks are over, but it's kind of a stall. And yesterday, if you listened, we had Brett McMurphy on, who said that that is exactly the case. It's 5 parties. It's trying to come to one agreement, and to say that, oh, it's not going to happen is just idiotic, is what he is. I mean, that's close to what he said on it, that it is not in any way that would be the case of nothing going to happen. It's just 5 parties. And we saw the announcement from Ross was the first to put it out on sportsillustrated.com 32 minutes ago as we're recording this, that the path was cleared. And then there's some quotes from the Big 12 conference, the official Big 12 website, that they announced that the teams have come to terms, a principle in terms, to leave the conference following the 23-24 athletic year. So $100 million buyout. So I think would be 50 per school. You would think it would split down the middle, but huge, because I don't think anyone wanted to stay another year.
No one, and it was both parties. You mentioned the 5 parties, Hunter. Yeah, it was outside of the media. You have the Big 12 who didn't want OU or Texas in. You have OU and Texas who don't want to be there. And then you had the, Fox and all those stations that were kind of vying for money and packages and things like that. So, yeah, when we heard McMurphy say yesterday that this isn't over, after the report was that it could be 2025, it was encouraging to hear that. And then, man, quickly, within 24 hours, here it is, they have a deal. So, I mean, this is massive, I think, for OU and Texas, just to know that, you don't have to wait around anymore. It's not when it's going to be. You have an answer finally.
Yeah, it's that. This is how it should be. Brett McMurphy was one to mention the Missouri exit a decade ago to the SEC, how that was a fast-moving exit strategy. And so it really would make sense. Obviously, it's now happened for OU and Texas to be out pretty soon. It is still odd to me as how long ago was it that this report was first reported? I guess 2021. I was at play-by-play camps in Dallas when that happened. Ian Fitzsimmons was there the day that it happened, or day before, and then the day that after it happened was former Sooner Mark Clayton there speaking to us. So that was pretty cool to talk to him as a former player, what he thought on it. And he was pumped as can be on getting out of the Big 12, going to the power conference of the SEC. And what's also interesting to me is that these aren't the only 2 blue bloods making a conference move at 24. USC, UCLA has been confirmed as well.
Oh, wow, yeah.
For 2024 to the Big Ten. So both conferences going to 16 teams as college football playoff goes to 12 teams in 2024. So
yeah, now the question will be kind of you got a year now to, I guess, kind of devise what this will look like. Brett McMurphy yesterday said on the pod that he thought maybe that it's going to look maybe like the Big 12 is now without divisions. But I kind of like what he said.
I hope not. I hope they don't.
I would rather there be pods, but I thought it was intriguing how he talked about, each school would have 3 teams that kind of play.
Yeah, I do like that part.
I
do like that part. I mean, for us, for our sake, I hope it's obviously Texas is going to be that school. I hope Texas A&M is one, but
I thought
I'm
maybe
sure they're going
Arkansas.
to. Yeah, I'm torn on Arkansas or Mizzou, because Mizzou was a rival from the old conference. So you like, those are always entertaining games to play in for the teams, for the fans, for everybody involved. But I'm worried that A&M's going to dodge us, so I could really see it being Texas, Arkansas, Mizzou. Because, I mean, if you remember a couple years ago, A&M refused to play Texas in a bowl game. And because of that, for whatever reason, they get to stay in the same level of bowl game, but actually Oklahoma State was punished and had to move to a what? If you're going to refuse to play in it, it should be them going to a lower level bowl game. That's just crazy to refuse to play an opponent because you're
A&M
something else.
Did the SEC commissioner? Did you have notes? Did the SEC commissioner come out and say stuff too already?
Yes. From Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC, the Southeastern Conference learned today of the decision by the Big 12 Conference to alter the membership exit date for the University of Oklahoma and the University of Texas. We are continuing our preparation for this membership transition, and we look forward to welcoming the conference's newest members and moving into our future as a 16-team league, which I think that's interesting that he liked to say 16 teams.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the presidents and chancellors to the SEC previously voted with unanimous approval to accept the application of Oklahoma and Texas to join the conference on July 1st, 2025, and have now authorized the conference office to proceed with the facilitating the transition of Oklahoma and Texas to become full members of the Southeastern Conference on July 1st, 2024. So 16 teams is very interesting because obviously the Ross article, we see all the numbers from the networks. It's not even the whole thing is weird it's not even the conferences or the universities that are driving this realignment. No, it's the networks.
It's the networks.
But in my opinion, I know everyone's starting to get upset with college football playoff with bias because it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's a hard situation for them because they're humans making the decision. Humans have biases, that's unavoidable. Yeah. But you like the playoff. I love the playoff. I love the opportunity of an underdog, TCU, to go play in the national championship. And quite frankly, I don't give a rip that they lost by 58 points. That doesn't bother me. It's still the shot of an underdog winning a national championship. I'm all for that. It's just how do you avoid a bias? Now is the answer to do. Obviously, the 12-team playoff is going to make it a lot different because the first 5 seeds are determined not by record on personal rankings, anything like that. It's conference. You have to win your conference to get the first round bye. But I would also be all ears for, I don't know if this is even being discussed, of going back to the BCS computer to determine the rankings based off of strength of schedule, all that, everything that the computer factored in, and have it in a playoff format.
I don't think they'll go back to the BCS, but, that wouldn't be bad either. Now you're dealing with 12 teams. It's something that could easily be doable. You're not going to get as much pushback because you have 12 and people say, well, what about the 13th? Well, forget that. Okay, 12 is a great thing to have, but I am curious, how they're going to do these, in the SEC with 16 and what that's going to look like, because how they organize this, whether it's 4 pods of 4, two divisions of 8, as Brett McMurphy said, no divisions at all. I mean, they got a year to hash this out, but it's going to be intriguing. What this does for OU next year is every game now, it is your going away party in the Big 12. So, to me, that's the biggest thing.
And Ross mentioned before on one source said that Oklahoma and Texas were upset to have to play the new teams. Like, we're not going to be here for them, so why do we have to play them? But in my eyes, this is 6 non-conference games for OU this year. I mean, really, these are 3 formerly non-Power 5 teams that you're now playing. So that's and should be 6 wins guaranteed minimum. We had 6 last year, so obviously we're going to take 6 give-me's. Anyhow, with the SEC, though, in my opinion, they shouldn't stop at 16 teams. They should keep on going. I would try to get Clemson and Florida State for sure.
That's where the future of college football is, Hunter. There's going to be like either 2 mega conferences or 3 that's all there's going to be. The Big Ten, that's what I think.
Yeah,
Big
it's
Ten,
just the
SEC,
ACC.
and Pac-12. I think the ACC schools are going to merge into the SEC or
They
the
need to. They
Big
need
Ten.
to. They need to. They need to be divided on there because really, the Pac-12 is not. They're losing UCLA and USC, so they
But the
still have
SEC will
Oregon.
be very careful though who they
Yeah,
invite in.
exactly.
They don't
Yeah.
want the heavyweight of the conference, the credibility of the conference to be diminished by letting everyone and their dog in. And that's why they're all about OU. They're all about OU in Texas. OU and Texas are all about it. Honestly, sitting here and talking about it, it's almost goosebumps when you hear the word SEC attached to OU, like it's really happening.
Yeah,
Because we've kind of
I'm
been
ready to
left
see
in
it
the water.
painted on the field. Ready
Oh,
to
yeah.
see it on the field.
Yeah.
But like it's Southeastern Conference. It's the South, Southern football. I really think you need to get Florida State and Clemson in there. Those are two blue blood, big time programs in the ACC. And really, the ACC is almost a cakewalk of a conference. When you look at it in the likes, I'm not saying obviously it's a better conference than like the Big 12, but compared to like the likes of the SEC and the Big 10, this is big league ball to AAA ball. Like, it's something has to happen on that, I think, for like playoffs and all that stuff to where because the group of five, Power Five, is almost a restructure coming in there. And I've heard stuff before on the talks of breaking away from even the NCAA because no one likes the NCAA. So with this conference stuff, and it's just wild that it's all determined by these networks. Like these networks determine all this stuff. Like
it is.
Never would have thought that it would be the Suits in Bristol, Connecticut, and then wherever Fox is headquartered out of that are determining the shots.
That article Ross put out about the comparing this to the Capulets and Montagues, I thought was a really interesting way of putting it. How just both parties, they don't want to be here. And then the 99-year contract was insane to read about that. Like, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, I can't believe you would ever do.
No one's gonna ever see that through. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, like these people that are signing the contracts are 60 years old. So
I know.
What lucky else to make it 30 years.
Have you seen anything else? Do you have anything else pulled up recently in the last couple minutes that's come out that's been interesting? I'm on my phone
trying
here,
to get some more stuff.
Yeah. McMurphy already tweeted something out or no?
Let's see.
Yeah, I just think that now you go into the 2023 season just with the bookends are there. You know what I mean? It's nothing up in the air. To me, I think it's just a calming thing for OU.
Yeah, and so the last tweet from Brett McMurphy, actually, right as you say it, talking about how his site that he works for, the Action Network headquarters, was the first to report that the growing momentum was there in December for the schools to leave a year early. And he's reporting, so what he's saying is that, okay, so a little more clarification from him that the schools will not pay the exit fee. They're foregoing $100 million in revenue from the Big 12.
Oh. So it's not 50,
I don't know.
So it's not 50 each.
I need more clarification on what that is because
wow, that would be interesting though. To forego 100. I mean, to forego all that from the Big 12. What's that tell you? Their thoughts on the Big 12?
Well, yeah, and reading like Ross's articles the past few over this topic, it's almost sounded like because before when this was all first reported, obviously the first question was on ESPN and SEC Network is how are you going to get out of the contract before 25? And there was one answer, a buyout. You have to buy out. But after reading Ross's stuff, it's almost like you don't have to buy out to the conference. It's more of the media you have to pay off. You have to pay off these TV networks because they're the ones really losing the money from it. Yeah. So I don't know how it's going to work on that. It's just, man, it feels so nice to be out of the Big 12. If only the report could have been 2023.
Oh, how insane would that have been?
Yeah, obviously that is not the case, but
yeah, I mean, McMurphy was the one who kind of started talking about how the ball's rolling. The ball didn't stop rolling, as a lot of people seem to think with that last kind of post that we had heard middle of last week. People thought the ball was in a standstill. This whole conversation was just put on hold, and he assured us in the interview that's not the case, and obviously it's not.
McMurphy was like, to him, he sounded like somebody talked to a source that was just frustrated, caught up in the moment on not getting it done because, I mean, like you said, all 5 parties wanted this done, and obviously with this now happening, all 5 parties wanted this done.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, weird feeling, man. That's just Christmas came early.
Yeah, I did not expect anything fast. I was expecting something pretty quick, you would think, within the next month or so after talking with Brett McMurphy yesterday on our last podcast. But no way did I think I was going to come home tonight and
I know when
see
you
that tweet from the Big 12. Like,
yeah, I would. And Ross is going to come on Ross Dellinger is going to be on the podcast, Sooner Surge podcast, within this next week. So we'll be able to get a lot of good insight from him.
Yeah, it will be nice to talk with him on someone who, I mean, he broke the story tonight for Sports Illustrated. So obviously he knows more than anyone else does in this situation. So I think that's all we got tonight. It's a glorious feeling. SEC OU 2024.
SEC.
Yeah, SEC. Anyhow, thanks for listening. And as always, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube as well as our Spotify. Follow us on Twitter at The Sooner Surge and follow us on TikTok and Instagram as well. Thanks for listening.
Boomer.